I love you. A lot of folks out here tonight. Well, I'm ready to go home because she never says that to me at home. This is worth the trip hearing that. I am Jill's husband, is obvious to everybody. I never get introduced as she's my wife. I'm her husband. And, I'm proud to be. I want to thank Longtime Tran for being with us tonight. His story is a story of an entire generation, but it's a story that goes back many generations, not just in South Vietnam and in Asia writ large, but all over the world. And America, it's the reason why we're strong. We are the most diverse democracy in the world. And there's not a single thing, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, there's not a single thing we can't do when we do it together. So thank you all. And I want to thank my friend, Keisha Lance Bottoms. And thanks to the Democratic members of Congress, Senator Ossoff and Warnock, Representative Sanford Bishop, an old friend, Hank Johnson, and Lucy McBath. And look, I want to make sure Representative Williams is here. I thought I saw her a moment ago. There you are, okay. And Representative Carolyn Bordeaux. We need to work and help them keep their seats. It's important. We run the first round, but there's more coming up. And my good friend and DNC Chair Jamie Harrison from South Carolina. And Stacey Abrams, it could be anything she wants to be, from whatever she chooses to president. I want to thank you, Stacey, for empowering the people to vote and to make their voices heard. You've been amazing. And most of all, I want to thank you, the people of Georgia. We'll give you a microphone. Folks, Georgia was 100 days ago today when I was inaugurated on the steps of the United States Capitol to be your president. And I was looking forward to coming back and seeing these guys. I agree with you. I'm working on it, man. Give me another 5 days. Folks, y'all know what they're talking about. There should be no private prisons, period. None, period. That's what they're talking about. Private detention centers. They should not exist. And we are working to close all of them. So, folks, look. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Let him go. No. I promise you. The only thing that's going to keep me from doing that is you keep moving. I promise you. Thank you. Folks. Look, it's been 100 days since I first sat at my desk in the Oval Office and went to work for you and the American people. I want to thank you. I want to thank the American people because I think we've gotten a lot done. I promised, even before I was sworn in, that I would get, in my first 100 days, 100 million COVID vaccine shots in people's arms. We've lost over 550,000 Americans. Well, we delivered over 220 million COVID shots in the first 100 days. We've vastly expanded access. We've got 100 million doses of vaccine, enough for every single American. And we've done it by getting vaccines to some 40,000 pharmacies across the country, 700 community centers. And now everyone over the age of 16 is now eligible to get vaccinated right away. So please do it. Get vaccinated now. Now. And we promised to deliver emergency relief to the millions of Americans who are in financial distress, and I might add, through no fault of their own. So we got out $1,400 checks to the American people, and we kept that promise. 85% of the households in America have gotten those checks. We've already sent out more than 160 million checks out the door. And I want to stop here and give thanks to both your senators, Senators Ossoff and Warnock, for making it happen, because those two votes, had we not come back and you elected them, those two votes made the difference. It passed by a single vote. And that means we owe special thanks to the people of Georgia. Because of you, the rest of the world, because of your two senators, the rest of America was able to get the help they got so far. The American Rescue Plan would not have passed. So much have we gotten done, like getting checks to people probably would not have happened. So if you ever wonder if elections make a difference, just remember what you did here in Georgia when you elected Ossoff and Warnock. You began to change the environment. And look, because of you, we passed one of the most consequential rescue bills in American history. So what did you do? What did you do with your vote here in Georgia? Well, you changed America. You began to change America. And you're helping us prove that democracy can still deliver for the people. Look, I want to thank you for all of that. All of America wants to thank you, because here's what we mean by delivering for the people. We created, in the first 100 days, 1,300,000 new jobs. 1,300,000 jobs in 100 days. That's more new jobs in the first 100 days of any president in history. Folks, because of you. And we're here, just a few more things that we needed. We provided food and nutrition assistance for children and families so they don't go hungry. Rental assistance to keep people from being evicted from their homes. Loans to small businesses like Long to keep them open and people employed. And we made Georgia eligible to expand Medicaid, which means another 500,000 Georgians can be covered. Excuse me. Folks, health care should be a right, not a privilege in America. And here's the thing I'm most proud of. We are on track to cut child poverty in half this year by having passed the child tax credit. In half. But as much as we've done, we've got a lot more to do. That's why I proposed the American Jobs Plan. It's a once-in-a-generation investment in America. It's the biggest jobs plan in this country since World War II. And here's what it does. It creates jobs rebuilding and modernizing our roads, our highways, our bridges, our ports, our airports. It will provide clean drinking water for every American. There are 10 million homes in America. And there are 400,000 schools and daycare centers that have lead pipes where drinking the water is a danger. We're going to replace 100% of those nation's lead pipes and service lines so every child can have a turn at the faucet and know what they're drinking is clean water. Folks, we're going to provide reliable high-speed internet everywhere in America, including rural America. 15% of Georgia households do not have internet at all. We're going to change that. And those infrastructure projects are going to create millions of good-paying jobs just installing them. We also know that 2 million women have dropped out of the workforce during this pandemic. 2 million, because too often they have to choose between whether or not they can get care for their child and their family or go to work. In the 21st century, infrastructure isn't just steel and concrete, it's people. And it's time we start paying people who come to our homes and care for people that love them and going to take care of them. And folks, when a lot of people talk about climate, they forget to mention the most important word. I made a promise when I was down here running that I would, in fact, immediately rejoin the Paris Climate Accord on day one, which we did, and I would have, in the first 100 days, a climate summit here in America, inviting all the world's polluters and all the world's emitters, including the biggest nations in the world. And they came, everyone from Russia to China to the European Union to India, all of them. And you know what? What came across? Every single one of those countries, whether they're going to meet their obligations or not, is finally understanding that taking care of saving the planet is going to create millions of good-paying jobs. Millions of good-paying jobs. We're going to put engineers and construction workers, electricians, electrical workers, building efficient buildings and homes. We're going to install 500,000 charging stations along the highways we're going to rebuild. And there's no reason why the blades for windmill turbines can't be built in Pittsburgh instead of Beijing. There's no reason. There's no reason that American workers can't lead the world in the production of electric vehicles and the batteries that propel them. We can do what we need to do in saving the planet and yet create millions of good-paying jobs. Folks, and with all the investments in the American Jobs Plan, here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy American. Let me explain what that means. You know, it's not a violation of any trade agreement. Every tax dollar that we, in fact, get for construction of anything is going to go to be used to buy American products, made in America, that create American jobs. That's the way it should be. Because, look, folks, Wall Street didn't build this country. You did. The middle class did. And unions built the middle class. And here's one final thing I want to mention about the American Jobs Plan. We got $5 billion investment in that plan for community violence intervention. There's a lot of work we have to do. A lot of work we have to do. And I want you to know who's responsible for that. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. But folks, we not only have to invest in America, we need to invest in our families. We need to invest in things our families care about and need the most. That's why the American Family Plan does 4 things, and we pay for it all. 1, without raising the deficit. It adds 4 years more guaranteed public education in America. If we were building on our education system from start today like we did in the last century, did anybody think we'd say 12 years of education is enough to compete and win the competition of the 21st century? I don't think so. So when we did that last century, it made America the best educated, best prepared nation in the world. But the rest of the world has caught up to us now. So my plan provides a universal preschool for every 3- and 4-year-old in America. Everyone. That's a game changer. It's a game changer. Now, it also provides 2 years of free community college. That's a game changer as well. Jill is a community college professor, still teaching. She constantly says, Joe, community colleges can change the lives of students. As she always says, look, any country that out-educates us is going to outcompete us. She'll be leading one of these efforts as well. Look, one more thing. We've got some great historical black universities and colleges in Georgia. And we're going to be investing in them and investing in them and increasing Pell Grants. They don't have all the money that comes from the large universities. But their students are as competent to do anything in the future as anyone else. But here's the deal. We're going to provide up to $47 billion over 10 years to increase their capacity to do everything but deal with, cybersecurity. All those things where the jobs of the future are. Second thing we're going to do, provide quality, affordable child care. I was a single dad for 5 years. When my wife and daughter got killed right after I got elected to the United States Senate as a 29-year-old kid, what happened was I was lucky. I had a daughter. I had 2 boys survive. My daughter and wife were killed, but my 2 boys survived. And fortunately for me, I had an incredible family. My sister, my brother, and my mother and father, they basically moved in and helped me raise my kids. Because although I was a senator, I was listed as the poorest senator in history, but not history, but in the years I was there, I couldn't afford the cost of daycare. I couldn't afford the cost of child care, but I had them. I don't know how I would have done it without them. So understand how important child care can be. Under my plan, most folks won't pay more than 7% of their income for child care as a max. And the folks who need it the most and can't afford it all won't have to spend a dime. That's important. And the third thing is the American Family Plan will finally provide up to 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave. No one should have to choose between a job and a paycheck or taking care of themselves, a loved one, a parent, or a spouse or a child. And fourth, the American Family Plan puts money directly into the pockets of millions of families. The American Rescue Plan, we passed a child credit. We're going to expand that child credit to families for another 5 years. Families with 2 kids, that will mean that as much as $7,200 will go into their pockets every year. Georgia, this is a tax cut for more than 2 million families in Georgia. We're cutting taxes for people by a tax credit. And we're going to lift more than 170,000 children out of poverty right here in America and cut child poverty this year in half. Folks, so how are we going to pay for all this? Well, with tax cuts for the middle class and working class families, how are we going to pay for that? Well, it's real simple. It's about time the very wealthy and corporations start paying their fair share. It's about time. As simple as that. And folks, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I promise you, no one making under $400,000 a year is going to pay a single additional penny in tax. No one. As I said last night, the middle class and working people of this country are already paying enough in taxes. It's time for the richest 1% of Americans and corporate America to start to do their part. Let me just give you a simple fact. Last year, for example, 55 of our largest corporations in America paid $0 in federal tax. Zero. And they made $40 billion. Not a penny in tax. Folks, if in fact we had a minimum book tax for corporations, for the just the Fortune 500 companies, just a minimum tax of 15%, bet all you'd sign up for 15% tax right now. If in fact it was just 15%, we'd raise $230 billion. Pay for all this. So folks, I'm not trying to punish anyone. What we've got to make corporations making $40 billion paying zero is just not right. Something's seriously wrong here. Georgia, I think a lot of you know I ran for president saying we had to heal the soul of this nation. And that's what we have to do. And the conviction of George Floyd's murderer is now our opportunity to make some real progress to restore the soul of this country. And we can do it. We can act rational police reform. We can root out systemic racism in our criminal justice system. And with real plans I outlined today, we have a real chance to deliver real equity across the board to everyone, black, white, Latino, Asian American, good jobs, good schools, affordable housing, clean air, clean water. Look, being able to generate wealth and pass it down through generations is how most folks got there. But it means, how did most of the middle-class folks you know who are Caucasian or white, how'd they make it? Well, they were able to get enough money to buy a home, and they built equity in that home. And they built equity in that home, they passed it on. And they passed it on, and that's how you build wealth. Well, we're going to make sure that African Americans, as well as make sure that Latinos and Asian Americans are able to build that kind of wealth. Look, when the Vice President and I were in Atlanta last month, we met with leaders of the Asian American community in Georgia following the mass shootings here in Atlanta. It was a raw and powerful meeting and a very emotional moment. And some criticized me for speaking out nationally about that hate crime. Some criticized me for saying how ugly and sinister it was. Well, since then, because of the 2 senators you sent, among others, the United States Senate passed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, protect Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders from the vicious hate crimes we've seen too often and too long. And it passed 94-1. So don't tell me we can't make progress. It's a first step, and we have a lot more to do. You know, that's right. If we are to truly hear the soul of America, we need to project that sacred right and protect it to vote. You know, in this state of Dr. King and John Lewis, you know how precious and how precarious the right to vote is. In November and then again in January, your vote changed the world, not just the world. But instead of celebrating that, it's being attacked. More people voted for president in 2020 than any time in American history, ever. And they did it in the middle of a pandemic. You've seen what's happened here in Georgia with your state's laws. It's just wrong, wrong. And it's why we have to pass the voting rights protection laws coming through the Congress. Right now, H.R. 1 and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act both should be passed now. So, folks, it's only been 100 days, but I have to tell you, I've never been more optimistic about the future in America. America's on the move again. We're choosing hope over fear, truth over lies, light over darkness. And we're working. We're working again. We're dreaming again. We're discovering again. And we're leading the world again. And you're proving democracy can deliver for the people. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. So let's stay together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.